Hello everyone and welcome to another high elo game of Age of Empires. Today we're taking a quick break from Empire Wars to return to the warm embrace of our first true love, the random map, as Mr. Yo, playing as the Byzantines in red, gets ready to take on Sebastian, playing as the Franks in blue. Now all the players heard their herdables explore their immediate surroundings and try to get their butts up to Feudal Age ASAP. Duck, duck, goose. Why don't we take a look at the Civ matchup that we are going to be watching today? Now, the Byzantines are a civilization designed to take a punch to the face. Their structures get progressively more HP as the game goes on, 10% more in Dark Age, which is why you'll see their town center starts with 2640 HP compared to the usual 2400, all the way up to 40% more, and that applies to all of their structures in Imperial Age. Their bombard towers can be upgraded to get splash damage. They get town watch and town patrol for free, which means they automatically see enemies coming from a mile away. And once the battle finally does start, their monks heal their units twice as fast as normal. They can slow enemy advances by spamming so-called trash units for days because their skirmishers, their spearman line units, and their camel riders are all 25% cheaper. And their unique unit, the Cataphract, is a heavy cavalry unit with a massive attack bonus against infantry that can take a beating with a good amount of HP and pretty strong base armor. Now, when the Byzantines finally do decide to advance to Imperial, they only pay 2/3 the cost of doing so, which does allow them to invest those saved resources into upgrading their Cataphracts even more by giving them trample damage and an even bigger attack bonus against infantry. Let's take a look. Does take a poke, does the villager, as he pulls the wild boar underneath the town center. Perfect lure there by Mr. Yo. Let's take a look at the right side of our map where we've got our Frank, the OG cavalry civilization, harkening back all the way to the last century. Their knights come with extra line of sight, their stables can be upgraded to work much faster, and all of their mounted units get extra HP starting in the Feudal Age. Now, to support their heavy cavalry against pesky annoying things like perhaps halberdier or camel spams or pikemen. I shouldn't say halberdier, we are still in the Dark Age. Well, then the Franks can turn to their unique unit, the Throwing Axeman. This is a ranged infantry unit similar to the Malian Gabeto, whose range can be even further increased. And to help a player train as many of these Throwing Axemen as possible, Frankish castles do cost less stone as the game goes on. It used to be a flat 25% discount. Now it is a 15% discount in Castle Age, a 25% discount in Imperial. Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied there. Man, are the deer stubborn. I'm assuming the programming for the deer is the same as for the ibex and the gazelles and the zebras and all of these other ostriches. But somehow the deer always manage, in my opinion, to be the most stubborn and to have the weirdest pathing. In any event, to help feed a big militaristic population, Frankish foragers do work 15% faster, and they get all mill upgrades for free, which makes their farms pretty good right as they click up to the next age. Them be the two civilizations we're going to be watching today. Attack path between the bases fairly short, with one kind of neutral forest in the way, as both players sit on 16, probably 17 by the time I finish this sentence. Villagers, a good time for us to look at these spawning locations of where the player started, because it looks like our Byzantine base is a little bit more open than the Frank on the minimap. He's got 3 forests in a bit of a cup shape, whereas our Frank has more of the nuclear sign here with the 3 forests in that position. Let's take a look at where Mr. Yo's primary gold and stone, both incredibly exposed in the forward position, and then he's got additional gold off to the left, additional stone off to the right. In terms of walling off the flanks, pretty easy to do so on with this kind of generation on the left as well. But like I mentioned, the forward portion of his excuse me, my throat just closed up. The forward portion of his base completely open. By the way, he caught that, did Sebastian. He must have seen those villagers leaving. Yeah, he's turning right around. He's going up. He should be going up and right. Let's see if he catches Mr. Yo's move out, because Mr. Yo is 1 minute and 23 seconds away from the next stage. Lately, he has taken quite a liking to doing tower rushes, and so with 4 villagers here, although yeah, it does have 0 villagers on stone. Yeah, Sebastian's going to discover. Okay, he does discover. Let's take a look at his resources, because it looks like Mr. Yo, perhaps realizing that his resources are ridiculously exposed and easily lamed, is going to try to do the same thing to his opponent by laming his resources. Primary stone very exposed to the front. Primary gold Okay, not a terrible location. It's kind of to the rear, not really on the attack path. Speaking of easy to wall off the flanks, look at this, our Frank base. With one short palisade wall, he can wall off the entirety of his southern flank because this forest does extend all the way to the edge of the map. Secondary gold to the back, tertiary gold to the front, and where's his extra stone all the way to the top here. So a few resources a little bit further away. In terms of walling off, I'll give this to our Frank. In terms of location of resources, primary goes to our Frank as well. Secondary perhaps to Mr. Yo with his gold a little bit here, whereas our Frank's tertiary gold, man, oh man, very exposed. Now this is something I absolutely love, and I will not stop saying that I love it. Oh no, if your opponent is going to tower rush you, the last thing you want to be doing is spending stone on walls. Although I'm again hesitating because I say tower rush. I don't see a single tower being built yet. But one thing I do love, as I was about to say before I interrupted myself, I love the proxy attacks that we're seeing now. The very forward infrastructure out of players, especially Mr. Yo. We've seen Hera do it as well. And they're just absolutely crushing it when it comes to taking away the defender's advantage. Now they can reinforce their army just about as quickly as the defender can. And there's the tower. What will our Frank do? He's got enough stone for one tower only. Mr. Yo has no more stone, no more villagers on stone either, and I don't see him making any effort to get that stone. That being said, when your opponent's stone is so exposed, I'm assuming we're going to get to see a mining camp here any second now. Yeah, okay, there you go. So tower in the forward position. You might be wondering, what's the point of this? It's laming a few houses, the barracks, the archery range, nothing really crazy at the early feudal age. Nobody really has ballistics yet, so even a skirmisher that pops out is not really going to take any kind of damage from the tower. But the important thing about this tower, it lets Mr. Yo control the stone to the left here. And so even though, maybe you were thinking, better serve somewhere here to lame the primary gold against the Franks with their castle discount, not a bad thing to lame their stone, especially if you still have 4 villagers in the forward position and you still want to keep placing towers, maybe? We'll see what he uses that stone for. For now, it looks like our Frank has racked up 1 kill to none. More skirmishers, nothing out of the barracks. So he's trying to wall off the rear of his base. The last thing he wants is more towers. Okay, Mr. Yo gets just enough stone for another tower and immediately places it. Okay, laming the wood line here. I'm assuming this is a tower of convenience because he can't really go anywhere else, right? Sebastian nicely walling off with 2 simple palisades in a house, ensuring that Mr. Yo, if he wants to get into the gold, is either going to have to go all the way up here, or he's going to have to go through town center fire. But Sebastian spends the last remaining stone that he has on a counter tower. It's on the low ground. Mr. Yo's tower's up first, but 5 villagers to 4. And in come the melee villagers. They want to get at this tower, but Mr. Yo... Oh my god, what an amazing wall off. The villagers are going to try to take down the palisade, but while they do so, they are taking tower fire. Interesting situation here. The red palisade fell, then blue created a bit of a prison for the villagers inside of here. Now when they pop out, when the building hits 20%, it evicts its tenants. When that happens, those villagers are going to have to either delete their own palisade or attack the blue villager and then the prison wall that he created here. So let's see what happens here. This is a interesting little turn of events. Sebastian also, by the way, keeping his skirmishers pretty close so that when the villagers do pop out to repair, he can start gunning them down. And with the armor that these units have, 3 pierce armor, they are fairly safe for now. So both players have armies of skirmishers. Okay, I mean, I assume that's what Sebastian was doing, but maybe the presence of even more skirmishers from his opponent are stopping him from doing it. The kill count 6-3 for Mr. Yo, whose tower still has just under 20%, and he decides to delete his own palisade and get out of here. So he's abandoning ship. Doesn't want to invest any more resources in repairing. He's not exactly the Georgians. He does have 4 villagers on stone. Where are they? Now they're here. And look at how open Mr. Yo's base is. He doesn't need it closed. First of all, he needs houses because he's just about to get housed here. But he doesn't need to wall anything off because he's putting on all of the aggression. He sees everything here on the right side with his archery range. He's got a tower here. His tower has fallen. So Sebastian has secured this location. But without stone, Unless you want to start buying stone. Has Sebastian seen? So he has seen his secondary stone as well. Absolute epic stone laming for Mysterio. We'll see if it works. we'll see if it accomplishes anything. Stone, not exactly the most valuable resource at the moment for Sebastian, who probably should start rushing up to Castle Age. He does have 3 more villagers than his opponent. Mysterio has killed 1 villager. Sebastian hasn't killed any. But a preemptive wall-off means that even if Mysterio busts in through here, not really much he's going to be able to accomplish besides laming the gold. And as we saw, Sebastian has some gold to the back, which is exactly where he's going now. So unfortunately for our Frank, 3 of the original 5 resource patches have now been lamed. And so he's left with a little, actually, my apologies, 4 of the 5 can't get this gold, can't get this stone, now can no longer get this gold, and can't get this stone. 4 out of 5 resource patches have absolutely been lamed by 2 simple Byzantine towers, which, remember, now that we are in the Feudal Age, let's put them side by side, 20% more HP. So 170% more HP for that Byzantine tower, which just makes Sebastian's takedown of the tower up here even more impressive. Another tower. Now, luckily, if he gets knocked off of this wood, he still has wood to the south and a nice, big, thick, secure forest here. This is 7,000 wood that he can get basically without any kind of interference. Uh-oh. Catches out some villagers. Will he get his first villager kill, our Frank? Yes, he does. Evens up the villager kill count, but he's got to be careful. These skirmishers are fairly weak, and Mysterio's bringing his army home as well to deal with this. Perhaps giving Sebastian too much respect for a half-dead skirmisher army. Let's see what's going on up here. The spearman continues to attack. Mysterio continues to surround his towers with infrastructure so that melee units are going to have a bit of a more difficult time getting to them. And Sebastian is heading up to the Castle Age. Okay, so fantastic. What the hell is this? Men-at-Arms? I guess when you only have 1 out of 3 patches of gold, is he going to go infantry against the Byzantines? Short term, I like it. Long term, I absolutely hate it. Yeah, there they are. 2 men-at-arms. Short term, I love it because they should be able to get rid of these towers. Mysterio making the classic pro move where he leaves the corners unattended, which means that melee units can still get at this tower, even though it's, you know, you've walled off the 4 flat sides of it. And by the way, Sebastian can just delete this house anyway if he wants to. Mysterio just now clicking up the castle 2 minutes away. So will it be a siege workshop? Will it be more infantry? I guess is the answer. 4 men-at-arms. What's happening down here? The armies continue to search for one another, so they're still kind of circling. Mysterio, unfortunately, out of 42 villagers, 10% of his economy is right here doing absolutely nothing, attacking a house. Sebastian, where are your 9 longswordsmen? They're in the town center? Okay. Interesting moves out of our Frank here. So like I said, short term, should be able to delete some of these wall-offs that he made so that he can get at these towers. But now there's going to be 3 towers here. Not exactly Roman infantry with double the armor effect, but does he need it? This tower has 1 melee armor, which means these longswordsmen do 9 minus 1, 8 damage. Interesting that the tower... interesting that Sebastian is leaving these skirmishers here within range of the tower. Okay, 1 out of 3. So this is why I said short term, I like this. Long term, he's got to get these 6 villagers that Mysterio has on stone. He's got to get them off of stone immediately. Send your skirmishers right now. I believe Sebastian has seen that Mysterio was mining the stone here. Why do I say get him off stone? Because the last thing you want is a Byzantine castle drop. Not only does that megalith come with now 30% more HP, but then it can start training their unique unit, the Cataphract, which is just the absolute infantry killer. Fear might be the mind killer, but Cataphracts are very much the infantry killers. Will he even get these towers? There's a villager repairing here. Where are the other 3? Are they inside the... Interesting. I would have maybe put the villagers up here, although you can't get them through the bamboo. Okay. never mind. Mr. Yo, if at first your towers don't succeed, bring some knights along for the ride. I wonder if Sebastian should have gone for this tower initially and then gotten the stone and pumped out a 1 or 2 Frankish castles. Instead, he's going north to get the gold. Probably wants, I was going to say knights of his own, but I don't see a single stable for our Frank. I see 15 longswordsmen with no attack upgrades, armor upgrades. Ram gets blocked by its own units. It's going left, it's going right. It doesn't know where the hell to go. We've got a monk sniper line going down. So Mr. Yo will eventually get cleared up from this northern position. Ooh, monk, get inside the town center. He gets into the town center. With his battering ram out, he's going to definitely get cleared up. I wonder if our Frank, let me know in the comments, should he have gone after the gold? I feel like he should have gone after the stone. And then defended himself with a few castles. And then maybe started pumping out some throwing axemen. Although I'm biased, I always want to see throwing axemen out of our anyone who plays Franks. 2 out of 3 towers to the north are down. The last one remains. And it will not last very much longer now with 30% more HP, 1300 HP on a tower compared to the 1020. I think aside from that, all the stats are pretty much identical, right? Yeah, I mean, Mr. Yo's got fletching, so +1 attack and range. Yeah, everything else is pretty darn similar. Longswordsmen are not gonna last very long. Get it? LOL against these knights. And now he's cleared it up. Mr. Yo's left behind a few palisade walls. Is this his house? No, this is the Frank's house. A town center in a very interesting location. So Mr. Yo definitely wants stone. He's got 9 villagers now on stone. He's already got an extra town center here, a 3rd going up as well. So our Byzantine is going up to 4 town centers. Our Frank just now reclaiming his northern settlement area is going up to a 2nd. And then he's probably going to start getting that gold, whereas he was ahead villagers. Feudal to castle. Now that we're in castle, he's down 7 villagers, 15% smaller economy for him. And Mr. Yo has already begun collecting the relics. He's already sitting at 1-0. I see a slow moving red dot on the minimap, which tells me it's going to be 2-0 very soon. Now, this is just a silly waste of HP with your longswordsman when you know you can just send the battering ram. There's no real point in sending these guys to take even a little bit of damage. Keep them up here next to the villagers. Oh, good reaction time from our Frank, who, with the pushing of the knights to the north and with the taking down of the tower to the south, or I should say west of his settlement, will reclaim it. And now they see this. Ooh, are they fast enough? Are they fast enough? Infantry moves so slow, but what's the faith on these monks? Full faith. So even if he had converted that longswordsman, Sebastian could try to convert him right back. And all of a sudden, the proxy infrastructure, very exposed, but unfortunately, oh no. Actually, I say oh no, but this is a very defensive castle out of Mr. Yo, who's been incredibly offensive this entire game. First with tower skirmishers, then with towers, skirmishers, then he added knights. And now he's building a defensive castle. I'm a little bit confused. Is he easing off the brakes? Easing off the gas and pumping the brakes. Oh no. Oh no, he's getting cataphracts. Our Frank needs to see this castle yesterday. Oh, he needs to send a scout, send your unit, send a monk, send something down here. He is going more and more siege, expecting some kind of castle push so that the Mangonel can attack the villagers building it, or maybe the Mangonel is just heading north towards this town center. But either way, not good. Not good at all. More cataphracts. Let's see how our Frank reacts. Does he have a stable at this point? No, he doesn't. He's now down 20 villagers, which is what happens when you're down 4 TCs to 2. Sees the siege workshop, doesn't know what's in it, just knows that there are flags up there. Will it be a scorpion to get rid of the infantry? Will it be a mangonel to get rid of the battering ram? What will it be? Theater of war shifts to this base. What are you? You are knights. So, okay. Mr. Yo continuing to be annoying, trying to get as many of these stone miners as possible. I love That should be the only volley, right? That should be the only volley. Yeah, he gets the mangonel. Doesn't lose a single unit here for that mangonel, I should say. So fantastic get there for our Frank, who now has to defend his mangonel from a different threat. Mr. Yo just deletes. Says, I don't share my toys. I did not learn how to share my toys when I was a kid. And so you want knights? Make them yourself. You shall not get mine. Monks are back to full faith, full HP. And in come the cataphracts. Blue will see them any second now. Their kite shields on their back. Their swords in their hands. They are going to gun down these villagers. Now in Castle Age, these are pretty darn powerful. They don't have bloodlines, which kind of sucks, but their base HP is not terrible at all. 110. I believe that jumps to 150, which is one of the bigger jumps from, you know, when units go, unique units go from their standard basic model to the elite. Sometimes they don't improve in a lot of statistics, but the cataphract, man, oh man, the HP jumping 35% is definitely an improvement from 110 to 150. He's continuing to slaughter villagers. We've got engagements up here. The longswordsmen look like they've taken out that scout. Down here, they're taking on cataphracts, or a cataphract. Attack bonus against villagers should be, what, a 9? It is a 9. Against infantry, I mean a 9. Monsieur's got 1,000 stone. He's brought villagers. They're biding their time. Where do we put the castle? They must be thinking, where will our foreman send us? And I mean, at this point, Sebastian should have a stable. He definitely should have a stable, or at least a castle. He's got 536 stone. Just force drop the stone and get a castle up. Yeah, okay, now he doesn't need to force drop. Now he's got the stone for a castle. He must definitely see this castle going up. Oh, the cataphracts are just going to slaughter this. Oh, that's confusing when you highlight their HP. They retreat. They want to have the help of a castle that's just gone up. Loses a monk. Does our Byzantine. Oh, no. Oh, no, indeed. Okay. I was going to say, oh, no, this is... I don't know about the location of this castle. I mean, it's on the high ground, which is fine, but it doesn't really secure the stone very well since this castle can reach it. And by the way, with another upgrade, it's definitely going to reach and lame the rest of the stone, with the exception maybe of the most northern pile, which only has 68 left in it. But man, Mr. Yo, lately with the tower rushes, sometimes succeeding, sometimes not. It looks like the villagers here decided to take matters into their own hands against this light cavalry unit that has 4 villager kills, even a pikeman joining in. Probably not really necessary at this point with this many villagers surrounding this guy. But Mr. Yo, if at first you don't succeed, try again is the mantra for this game. Proxy number 1, tower number 2, skirmishers, knights number 3. He did lose his expansion up here, which is kind of sour, but he did replace the town center with one over here. And because his opponent did literally nothing, pressed in with a few skirmishers, got that one villager, I think here at one point. Yeah, look at our Frank. He's sitting on 2 villager kills to the 25 of his opponent. He's down 45 villagers, 2/3 bigger economy for our Byzantine. And that is just an absolute death sentence for any civilization, any game whatsoever. You can't let your opponent expand to such an insane degree. Remember, the Byzantines don't pay 1,000 food and 800 gold to go up to Imperial. They pay 2/3 that. So I think it's like 666 food and just over 500 gold. So he's got the gold and he's got enough gold to buy the food, or doesn't even need to buy with 31 villagers on food, although he is training cataphracts, which are not exactly cheap when it comes to food, 70 food each. But the pivot to infantry, look at the upgrades. They're all infantry. And how many barracks? I think just the 3. Okay, so I would have loved to see a stable out of our Frank, who, like I said, the infantry was a good short-term solution. Once he got control of this stone, though, and this gold, I think he probably should have pivoted to cavalry. Although, I mean, I say that it's so hard to do. You're down 45 villagers, and now you've got this 30% extra HP, 6,200 HP castle just breathing down your neck, and you've lost control of your stone, even though you do have control of this stone, and you see that you have control with your outpost, and you see no threats coming in from the left at all. ultimately Mr. Yo's aggression just tilting Sebastian way too much. 90 kills to 37, 25 villager kills to 2, and little by little, step by step, unit by unit, Mr. Yo just pushes Sebastian way too far behind. And ultimately, with the unit that has an attack bonus against the entire army that you've built, what the hell can you really do? Like I said, let me know in the comments, should he have gone after the gold first? Or once he hit castle, should he have gone after the tower here first, gotten the stone, and then 1 castle, maybe 2 castle, maybe 3 castle? I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I've never been pressed into by Mr. Yo with his tower rush, which in this case just proves absolutely devastating to our Frank, who dies with 43 long swordsmen to 15 cataphracts. I mean, obviously one-on-one, I think the swordsmen do take this, especially without Logistica giving them trample damage. Peak APM for Mr. Yo towards the beginning, peak APM similar time, 9 minutes, 12 minutes. Let's take a look at the economies. Let's see how big of a difference actually. So I guess the villager lead came recently, because this is just about 15%. This isn't that high of a difference when you're down 67, 70% in terms of villagers. Mr. Yo with 4 relics. So this is what we call a snowball right now. If the game had continued, sure, maybe Sebastian could have secured this area. Maybe he could have trained some throwing axemen to get rid of these cataphracts, even though they actually have 4 melee armor, so maybe throwing axemen not exactly the greatest. But in Castle Age, against this unit with no stables up and no castle, yeah, our Frank was just pushed way too far back. But this is an absolute snowball, where in about 10 minutes, Mr. Yo is going to be an Imperial with Logistica cataphracts fully upgraded, and you're going to have jack nothing. 2 conversions, 1 conversion not playing a role. Our Frank destroying more buildings. Obviously, he was the one that destroyed all of the 4 towers, rather 5 towers that were built, and the houses that were built to support them. And just an absolute epic game out of both players. Mr. Yo pushing as hard as he could with as varied an army as he could. Sebastian holding on, but unfortunately holding on while not doing any damage at these Elos. And by the way, look at the Elos, literally 1 point apart. At these Elos, holding on is not enough. You have to hold on while also simultaneously trying to at least assess where your opponent is in the economic game and then the military game. Has Sebastian even seen this castle, by the way? That's the problem here, among many problems. That's a problem, that he hasn't even seen this forward infrastructure. That's how far back he was pushed. Look at his vision. He sees his little tiny corner of the world and thinks it big, but it is really not, with 1 random swordsman here. By the way, good line of sight on this unit. I didn't realize this is what, like 8 or 7 tiles? That is a good line of sight. He could have used that unit to scout. Whereas Mr. Yo, no, I mean, yeah. Sebastian can't really move out anywhere without Mr. Yo seeing it. Not to the south, not to the north, not to the west. And ultimately, he just engulfs his opponent, plops down a 2nd castle, continues to train the counter unit, which, I mean, who doesn't love the cataphract? Look at this beautiful silver bastard of a unit. And ultimately, Mr. Yo with the 4 or maybe even 5, depending if you count the night push, which was kind of a push, but not really, but maybe it was. I don't really know what it was. Kind of a gentle prodding, let's say, a little poking with a pinky finger. If you count that as a push, he did multiple attacks, and with that just pushed his opponent a little bit too far back. And ultimately, the base, by the way, isn't even walled off, which is why there is a light cavalry unit here surrounded by a mob of villagers. And with that light cav, with the knights, with the skirmishers, the towers, and now the cataphract castle push, it is our Byzantine who is victorious. But GG to both players. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.